Hi folks, and welcome back. This week I'm in Sweden with Andy from Kent Survival. We're here for 5 days on a canoe trip, and we are paddling on the Lake Storeli, which is in southern Sweden, in the Dalsland region, and it is absolutely stunning. We've just left the town of Ed, where there's a canoe outfitters called Canodal, and we spent the night there last night. We got here sort of late afternoon. It was very windy, the lake was really choppy, and we still had to get shopping for supplies for the trip. Another group had left shortly before we arrived, and the guy at the outfitters said that obviously, you know, they were going to be at the first campsite, so there wouldn't be room for us there as well. So we decided to stop the night at the outfitters, where they have a Dano hut, and we sat up there and we had a fire and a couple of beers and just relaxed for the evening, which was nice. So we got up this morning feeling refreshed and ready to start the adventure. Filming you, filming me, filming you. Aha! We're just going past a lovely waterfall trickling down and into the lake. We've just stopped for a couple of minutes for a little break in this nice little inlet. But as you can see from the sky, it's starting to cloud over a little bit, and that wind's just starting to pick up a bit. So we've had it quite easy so far today. There hasn't really been any headwind or anything, but I think that may change as the afternoon goes on. But that's all right. We'll just you know, if we have a headwind, we have a headwind, and we'll just battle into it. We've just come across a whole load of blueberries growing next to the lake. You know, they grow everywhere here in Sweden, but unfortunately we're just a few weeks too early for them. They're not ripe. They're just starting to sort of get some colour on them, but you know, they're a long way off being ready to eat, which is a bit of a shame, because I do love blueberry pancakes. Should we head over into that little inlet there? Have some lunch over there.
Looks good.
Yeah? Might be a bit out of the wind as well.
Bit of a beach.
Bit of a beach, that's what we like. Life's a beach.
So long. A tropical paradise.
Squashed polar bread.
We cook it up with sausage. I don't know. What do you reckon? We've got no rush or anything, so we could cook it up, couldn't we? Oh, sausage down.
Oh no. Well, we found a lovely little beach to stop and have our lunch on, and Andy's just frying up some smoked chorizo sausage, and we're going to have some bread, some polar bread, and squeezy cheese.
You're a bit premature with the cheese.
I was straight in that. I'm really hungry. Lovely. Thank you very much. Yeah,
Thank you. I only put a little bit of actual oil in. It's good for the spatula.
yes. Well, we had a nice lunch, a nice break, and we're back on the water again. The wind has died down again, which is nice. I thought that was going to kind of whip up and we were going to have a bit of a battle on our hands for this afternoon, but thankfully it's calmed right down again. Still a bit overcast, but we don't think we've got too far to go to the campsite, kind of gauging by what landmarks we can see and checking against the map. It's probably only another couple of kilometres really, which is nice. We'll be in camp in good time, and we can get ourselves set up. The camp has a Dano hut, which Andy is thinking he might use. I'm not going to, simply because I bought hammock camping gear, and I haven't got a pad, haven't got a mat to sleep on. I slept in the Dano last night, but I used my kneel mat, which is only small, and my sit pad, and it wasn't really, and a buoyancy aid, which I kind of opened up, and I used that, and it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't that comfortable. So I think I'm just going to set my hammock up, and Andy can have the Dano to himself. But there's a fire pit there and stuff, so yeah, we'll be able to sit and cook and spend the evening comfortably. So it turns out that Canoe 82 has a hole in it. I'm having to bail out kind of every hour, just because otherwise my legs are getting wet. My trouser legs are just drawing the water up like a wick, making my trousers soaking wet. So it's a bit of a pain. I'm having to use my cup as a bailer. How's the inside of your boat, mate? Nice and dry?
Lovely.
So in the last 10 minutes, the wind has completely changed direction. It was in our faces, and then it was blowing to the side, and with it, it brought some snow. Just a few flakes, not a lot, but some. And now it's on our backs, which is nice because it's blowing us along. But I don't think we're far off the campsite now, or the camp spot. We're just kind of keeping our eyes peeled for it as we paddle along. I'm seeing something up ahead that looks like it might even be it. That was me fiddling around with my camera, and Andy came roaring past me and said, last one to camp's a what?
Smelly bum.
A smelly bum. That sounds like fighting talk to me. One nicely decorated Dano hut, fire pit.
On the other side it's explicit.
Oh. Fire pit, seating, and hopefully somewhere to string my hammock up. Probably over there in those trees there, I think. And there is even a composting toilet. Right, this is me set up. I'm right behind the Dano hut, so I haven't got too far to go when it's bedtime. And I've got a DD frontline hammock and a DD ultralight tarp. And then under the hammock I've got a homemade underquilt made by Ginge. So thanks again, mate, for that. That is fantastic, super warm. And he also made this cover as well. It's like a wind cover for the protector for the underquilt, so it makes a big difference. Just keeps the wind off. Probably adds, you know, probably another half a degree or so, or half a season or so rating, I should think, to the underquilt, which is really good and thick and lofty anyway. And then inside I've got a 0 degree sleeping bag. That's a Mountain Hardwear Lamina 35, and my puffy jacket as a pillow. So we're going to get some firewood prepped now. The deal at these Dano huts is that they provide logs so that people don't go chopping trees down and whatnot in the forest. But you know, they're great big long lengths and they obviously need cutting down and chopping up. We've both bought saws and axes with us, so that's the next job. Then we can get a fire on the go and settle in for the evening and have some dinner.
Right, there she goes. Chuck a little bit of that on. That's probably the finest one, isn't it?
So a few people had asked if I'd done a kit video for the Sweden trip, and to be honest, I did think about it and just didn't have time, just didn't have a chance before we came away. You've kind of seen my sleep setup. You know, I've got my hammock and tarp, under blanket protector, sleeping bag. But I thought I'd just show you my kind of cook kit and camp kit. You know, we're going to be staying in campsites. They're classed as a campsite, but they're very basic. They're just designated areas dotted around the lake that you're encouraged to use, just so that the forest doesn't get, you know, absolutely decimated by people cutting down trees for firewood and God knows what. You know, you can imagine it would very, very quickly turn into a complete mess. So they provide these campsites, which they stock with firewood. So we haven't got to go and find the firewood; it's here. We do need to cut it up into usable pieces that we can burn. And you know, there's a wind shelter or a Dano hut in some of them, not all of them. And there are facilities to leave your rubbish, and that's collected. And there's a composting toilet. So you know, all the waste is dealt with. They sort of kept clean just by providing the means to deal with your rubbish, which is great. So, kit that I brought an axe. That's my Gransfors small forest axe, a great axe and a nice size. Obviously I had to bring it with me, and because we flew here, weight was an issue. This is probably one of the heaviest items that I brought, but I needed to bring one, and that packs nicely in my dry bag. So small forest axe, and I bought my buck saw, which you've seen before. This is homemade, made from ash, and it's just brilliant. I love this saw. It's my favourite saw. I prefer using it to any other kind of saw. It just makes, you know, short work of cutting up logs and things. Great bit of kit. So tools wise, axe, saw, and I've got my knife, which is a TBS bore, stainless steel blade. You'll have seen this before in previous videos, I'm sure. So that is what I've brought with me tool wise. Now in terms of kind of cook kit, camp kitchen if you like, we've got these barrels which we hired from the canoe hire company, and they're just you know, they're just plastic barrels with a lid and a metal band which runs around to keep them watertight if we happen to capsize. And the lovely thing about them is that they're a kind of perfect height to sit on or to use as a table to put things on, to chop on, whatever, you know. They're really handy containers for that, as well as almost sort of like camp furniture. So in here I've got a 6 litre dromedary bag which I brought with me. The water in this lake is really clean. It's got a kind of tint to it, a kind of yellowy browny tint, but it is perfectly safe to drink as is. It doesn't need purifying. It is pure enough to drink straight out of the lake, and that's what I've been doing today during you know, while we're out on the lake canoeing. I've just got a cup that I can just dip into the lake and drink as I go, which is great. But while we're in camp, to save having to keep going down to the lakeside to get water every time you want water, we've just got this, which we're just going to fill up each night, and there's water right there up at the hut, or up where the campfire is, and we can just, you know, use it as and when. I've also got in here a small sit mat, which is great to put on top of the bin lid to make it a bit more comfortable to sit on. I've got a small foldable sink, you know, just for washing up and stuff. You can heat water up, fill that up, wash our stuff up in there, and it just makes life a bit easier. It doesn't weigh very much either, which is why I brought it. I've got a pair of leather work gloves, just for working by the fire, picking hot things up, you know, anything that you need to protect your hands for, basically. I've got a 14 centimetre zebra billy. I bought my bigger one because obviously there's 2 of us, and it means that I can cook you know, pasta or rice or whatever in this thing. It's, you know, it's big enough to cook a decent sized meal for 2. And then inside that I've got my Pathfinder cup, which I've just been using for boiling water to make hot drinks and things like that. And I've got a Trangia burner in there as well. It's useful for that first cup of coffee in the morning before we get the fire lit and that sort of thing. So that's just inside the cup. I've got my Firebox Nano stove for the same reason. You know, I can either use it as a twig stove, or I can just put the Trangia burner in there, and it's basically a pot stand. So yeah, I've got that, and then in the back I've got some of those Tinder cards that you know I love so much. Andy's bought some of those with him on this trip as well. So yeah, we are not short of a Tinder card. And then I have a washing up kit. So in there I've got a green scourer, I've got a Scotch Brite pad, which is even more abrasive than the green scourer, and just some washing up liquid. In this bag here I've got my fish mouth spreader, which I use with my Pathfinder cup to hang it up over a fire or just to lift it out of the fire. And I've got a small chopping board, and I've got my titanium plate, which can use as a frying pan as well. So that's in there. I've also got my utensil roll here with the aluminium bar, which spreads it so you can hang it up. It slides in that tube at the top there. And yeah, just got a basic few utensils in here: a spatula, a spoon, a backup spork, and a couple of wooden spoons. And in the end there, my little stainless steel openal for sort of veg prep and stuff in camp. I have a small cup. This I've been keeping with me in the canoe just so that I can drink straight out of the lake, but it's also my main cup as well for hot drinks and whatnot. I've got a bottle of spirit for the Trangia stove. This we bought here obviously rather than bringing it over, and yeah, that'll be plenty enough for this trip for sure. I've got my ferro rod for fire lighting, and then in this bag, this is the food that I brought with me from the UK. So everything else we bought here. We went to the supermarket yesterday when we arrived and stocked up on food, and obviously you'll see that through the videos, meals we have. But in here I've got some beef jerky, a couple of packs of beef jerky which I already had, and I've got a load of freeze-dried dehydrated meals. And then tucked down the side in here I've got my good old spice kit, which you've seen before in videos. I've got everything in here from salt and pepper to yeast, cinnamon, various spices and whatnot. I've also got a tube here with baking powder in, bicarbonate of soda, sorry, which we can use as a raising agent to make pancakes if we want to, or to make bannock, which we're planning on doing. And I've got my last 3 remaining bottles of PCF hot sauce here. These are the ones I was avoiding because they sounded a bit scary. Everything else in the barrel here is food. So we've got, you know, flour, we've got stuff for lunches, biscuits, obviously, oh boy, hot chocolate, that goes without saying. Eggs, we've got one of our meals here. In fact, this is what we're having tonight. So we've got meat with fried potatoes and onions, good old polar bread, which we're making our lunches out of. Polar bread with sort of squeezy cheese. We've got packs of bacon, rice, dried milk. Oh yeah, usual bits, but you'll see all the food and stuff as the video goes on. So that is my basic camp kit, and that was just in the nick of time because it's snowing.
of salt. Yeah, maybe a little bit of spuds. What pepper? I want pepper.
Ketchup.
I don't know why I didn't grab some.
Big squeezy bottle of Heinz tomato ketchup.
Lightweight camping with
See now?
Got a hole in my new trousers. Then just going down to ash.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah.
Catched, didn't it?
Yeah, serious.
Well, folks, we've had an absolutely fantastic day. A real mixture of weather. Beautiful bright sunshine this morning, a bit of wind, and then the wind completely just changed direction, and we had a bit of snow, and then we got to camp and we had a bit more snow, and yeah, bit of everything really today. But a really great day, hasn't it? It's been a nice paddle.
Good one.
Seen some nice
Every
stuff, haven't we?
season.
Every season. And seen some good stuff. That waterfall earlier.
Waterfall.
That was beautiful, wasn't it?
Moose.
We heard a moose. We think it sounded like a cow. But I don't think there's any cows around here, so we think it probably was a moose. If a moose sounds like a cow. I'm sure somebody will put something in the comments below. But yeah, it's been really good. We're just having a hot chocolate because we're in Sweden, and of course it's Oh Boy hot chocolate, which, as you all know, is my favourite. So we're going to have these.
By Sam Beckett.
Hey?
Sam Beckett of Quantum Leap.
So yeah. Yeah. Quantum Leap, that was a show. Yeah, so we're gonna have these and turn in. It's actually really cold tonight, as you can probably see by the layers, and we're all a bit bundled up. Last night was -3, and actually it didn't feel so much like -3, did it?
We've debated it, but we've been told it was.
We were told it was -3 by the guy that runs the Canoe Outfitters, but you know, I was in a 0 rated bag, you were in a +1 rated bag, and we were warm. So yeah, I don't know about that, but tonight it feels considerably colder. But we'll see. It is cloudier, but we have had snow and all sorts this evening. So and there's a bit of wind. We're not quite as sheltered as we were at the other spot.
No, a bit more open. Yeah,
a bit more open here. But yeah, it's a really lovely camp spot. Really pleased with it. Well set up, and yeah, all good. So yeah, we're going to finish these, and we'll see you in the morning. Good night.